Good morning to my Coursera evaluators. This class is for high, intermediate, adult ESL learners. There will be times in the presentation where I will have to go through or just mention the time that would be taken in the actual class for an activity. So let's go to the class. Good morning, class. We're going to talk about a time in American history in the late 18th century when the Americans fought for freedom. I had just finished a class on the American Revolution, about the war. Today I want to do, that was with another class, today I want to do a completely new class with you using that theme of freedom and independence and concentrating on a lesser-known hero named Paul Revere. But I want to mention our objectives and then go to something relating to your countries. But first, our objectives are listening, to listen, have activities for listening, for speaking, for grammar, with some technology components. But before we start, I want you to think about heroes from your own country. Every country has heroes. And I don't want you to think about a big hero. You're going to do it, by the way, a 3-minute speech on this for the next class. So I don't want you, for example, my student from India, not Gandhi. Think of a lesser-known hero whom you can tell us about. My student from South Africa, not Nelson Mandela, someone else, a hero in his or her own right. Again, so think about this. You will do some research. You may not have to do research, but you're going to organize this person's, what this person did for your country and deliver that in a speech next time. But as we get into the class, I want you to do some listening. First, listen. I'm going to tell you about Paul Revere. But I want you to listen to a short little paragraph which I got together from a website called biography.com. I didn't copy it. I knew some things about Paul Revere, so I got the facts of his life and put this little paragraph together. Listen, please. Paul Revere was a silversmith living in Boston who heard about a raid that the British were going to carry out in the nearby town of Lexington. It was April 18th, 1775. He decided to do something about it, a hero, and went to the Old North Church. He told a friend to watch from the tower and to wave a lantern 1 time if the British were coming by land, 2 times if the British were coming by sea, meaning the river. He waited, and around 10 o'clock he saw the lantern wave twice. He took off for Lexington, about 11 miles away by horseback, warning, the British are coming, the British are coming. The American army was ready and waiting. That's who he was. Now I want you to listen to a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, a 19th century American poet who wrote this beautiful poem after Paul Revere's death. I would, for the actual class, play the poem in its entirety. For my evaluators, I can only play a few lines. So listen to the poem, a few lines on the iPod.
Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church tower as a signal light. 1 if by land, and 2 if by sea. And I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said good night, and with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charlestown shore, just as the moon rose over the bay.
So beautiful. With muffled oar as the moon rose over the bay, it takes it into the realm of poetry. Again, they will have listened to the whole poem. Now for speaking. As you get to your hero identified, as you do perhaps some research, you're going to organize your speech. And you can do it very simply chronologically. First this happened, then this happened, finally this happened. It's not the only way you can organize. There is a website called teacherjoe.us. It's the best one I found for this, and it tells you how to organize a speech. You can do it problem solution. There was a problem, the British, there was a solution to stop them from going to Lexington. So you could do it that way also. So think of that when you are planning your speech. Now for grammar. I want to introduce you to the present perfect tense. In my other class on the American Revolutionary War, I did the past perfect tense. That's easier. I had done something. But this is more difficult. So it's done with the use of the present tense of the verb have. I have, you have, he has, he or she has. We have, you have, they have, plus the past participle, which you already know from previous classes we've had. Also, it deals with an unspecified time in the past versus something which is specified. For example, unspecified. The words which introduce it are many times, already, never, versus specified times such as yesterday, last week, last month. Let me give examples. Many times I have eaten pizza versus yesterday I ate pizza. Already I have learned several verb forms in English versus last week I learned the past tense. One more. I have never gone to the movies since I came here versus last month I went to the movies. This is difficult. We will do more. Today I have a handout. We will do more in the next few classes on the present perfect. You can go to a couple of websites. Just put in present perfect in English, such as Grammarly.com, myenglishteacher.com, but we will be doing it in class. Finally, I want you to go to a website called Tripline. Do it now. I did this. It's very easy to find. Put in Paul Revere's ride from Boston, B-O-S-T-O-N, to Lexington, L-E-X-I-N-G-T-O-N. It will come up very quickly, and what you will see is a map of Paul Revere's ride from Boston to Lexington with pictures of what are now historical sites. Do that now. Take a few minutes to look at it and enrich your knowledge about Paul Revere. I also want to say something that's a trip line, about a timeline. And as we do the present perfect tense, perhaps we can do a timeline. You can do a timeline of your life and see what you did in the past and what you have done up to the present. There are going to be various websites for timelines, such as When in Time, Time Kiwi, Time Toast, Precedent. Next class, I would like to look at these, analyze them as a group, and decide if they are worthwhile for us to pursue. That's the end of our class. Remember, our next class, day after tomorrow, be prepared with your 3-minute organized speech on the hero from your country. Thank you.